Yo, we should be all good. We should be live. To turn up a little bit. That should be better. Better. With a Somerset accent. We do love a Somerset accent. Do. Oh no! Not this race course. This one's terrible. How you doing, buddy? Welcome in, dude. Hope you had a good Friday, man. That has got to be the worst track on iRacing. Not even kidding. What a shame. That bad? Oh, honestly, it's like driving around Tesco's car park at rush hour. It's terrible. It is honestly biblically bad. I could literally run around my shoelaces and it would be more exciting. How you doing, Sam? Welcome in, bro. Can't be worse than Miami. No, it is 100% worse than Miami. It is garbage. It's a school track. Like, so the track is literally 1.1 miles long. That's about the length of a go-kart track. Welcome in. So it is not that good to drive around. Which is a shame, because the Formula Ford is a fantastic car, but can't win them all. Can't win them all. Kind of tempted to jump in this F4 race. Yeah, we'll do it. It's 15 minutes long. Starts... Well, that's qualifying. So it probably starts at 6:55. I think that gives us enough time to get to the Super Formula. F4 though is absolutely cray-cray. Oh, please don't drop my headset. Oh. I am well excited, chat. I ordered a fourth monitor mount bracket, so finally I won't have to look like an owl. 90 degrees to my... Well, I don't actually look 90 degrees. 45 degrees to my right. You check chat. I can look up. Will be nice. Eventually. Well, I can't do it yet, but when it does arrive. It's little things in life. No. Okay, good. My wheels just turned off. I thought it was going to ask me to reconfigure all of my controls. I was like, yeah, nah. Oh. Why does the FFB feel bad? There we go. Should be alright now. Got packet loss. That's not ideal. Yeah, how you doing, Mitty? I'm gonna have to learn this track quick time. Literally never driven an F4 around here. You're having the best Friday? Good for you, man. What's making it the best Friday? Not ideal. You streaming? Oh, that's very nice. Appreciate it, bro. Is the car sound loud enough? Just to double check. Oh, second lap I've done that. Welcome in, bro. Well, that is, can't park there, sir. I think it's good. Lovely. Thank you, everyone. Brendan, where have you been all my life? Probably in KFC, to be honest, mate. Can't miss out on a good bargain bucket. Bad idea to hit the curb. Okay, that's an off track. Yeah, I plan to do Super Formula later. This is kind of a means to the end until we get there. Damn, I'm still getting track limits there. Quite interesting. On some turns, you can go right up to the gravel. Oh. Oh, hello, cone. Must only be like a few minutes now to quali. Good to know. That's not flat. Oh, there we go. There's quality. And hello to the person who said, "What up?" in the chat. Appreciate you, bro. And to answer the question, the sky. Wow, I've got Forrest Jump doing like cheerleader stuff out here. They said, Brendan Fast, Brendan Cook, Brendan got pace under the hood. Give me a W. Give me an I. Give me an N. What does it spell? Win. Hopefully. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yo, man, thanks so much for the raid, dude. Maybe I had a good stream, man. What were you watch partying or playing, man? I've seen the grinding content. Appreciate you, man. Legend. Doing season review. Did you see the thing by Sky Sports where Bernie Collins rated Oscar and Lando as P1 and P2? I thought that was quite interesting. I don't mean it as any hate to Bernie. I just found it interesting that she rated them to above Max. Like, and everyone else put Max like P1 or something. You got my gyro rankings on Sunday. Man, I'm hyped for those. I'll be sure to tune in for that. I'm always curious, you know. Because, like, okay, like, the top of it's pretty obvious, you know. Like, the top 5, you know, it's pretty standard amongst people. But it's quite interesting to see who knows wheel, who's actually got some good knowledge. You know, from, like, P6 to P10, roughly. You know, where do you put your Nico Hulkenberg, your Isaac Hadjards, your Ollie Behrmans, you know, where do they rank? Especially as it's, like, the end of a regulation cycle. It's quite interesting to see where people rank in terms of, you know, adjusting to a new team at the end of the regulation cycle and all that. Here's an idea, man. It'll be interesting to see, like, what people think of the drivers who have been in Formula 1 during this whole regulation cycle. It would be interesting to rank who's done the best job out of them. Of course, it's Max, but you know what I'm... Ah, that's an off track. Like, in general, over... How many years has it been since 2022? Right. time to lock in until I crash. Oh no! Damn it. Messy, messy, messy. Another football player. Yeah, didn't optimize at all. The 10 minutes of practice was not terrible, but not happy with it at the same time. Alright, catch you in a bit, buddy. Catch you later. And appreciate the raid again. Thank you, bro. Yeah, no idea. I didn't do a single practice start. Not ideal. I don't think I'll do the other F4 race, to be honest, bro. I normally don't really drive the F4 that much. For me, it was just to jump in as a time filler before the Super Formula at Silverstone. But it would be a pleasure to share the track with you as well, man. It would be a pleasure. Holy moly. These guys were only separated by 1,000th of a second. Jesus. How you doing, Jochen? How you doing, good bro? Yeah, it's chaos. Best way to describe it, man. Follow the race from here. Oh, no worries, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I kind of regret not doing the practice start, but hey, here we are. It is time to try. I don't know if I should double clutch this or single clutch. Hang on, why have I got one instant point? Welcome here, bro. Double clutch. Roger that. My point is 40% to be safe. Honestly, bro, I've never even bothered to hook those stuff up. Like, I just have, like, my right paddle to 100, like, a travel, my left paddle to 50, and I just send it. I don't bother, like, feeling or looking at bite points, whatever. If I was doing competitive racing, I probably would, but... well, this is okay. Bro, why would you put the car there? Okay, yeah. I kind of, for entertainment value, this will be good, but for safety rating, not too much. Holy moly. Fuck, man. Yeah, I tried something new on the bike. Didn't work. Why is my PC, my laptop restarting? Oh, it wants to update. That's not ideal. I don't know what else dislike that when your laptop just decides to update it by itself. You know, it's like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. But yeah, pretty unoptimized race, in all honesty. Yeah, a weird track. A very strange track for, like, maximizing the car. Definitely wasn't ideal with my racing lines. Need to do better on that. Oh yay! The PC, my laptop's restarting. Updates are underway. Please keep your computer on. No. I don't think I will. Apologies if I am missing any messages at the moment, chat. Unfortunately, I normally rely on my laptop for the chat, but laptop has decided to not rely on me. You're 100% there. Please keep your computer on. Well, normally, if I was 100% there, I would imagine it would be done by now. I'm speaking to my laptop. What has my life become? Right, time to put the laptop in the bin. That was very annoying. GG's indeed. No, please don't update Steam. I don't need you to update Steam laptop. Stop doing your own thing. Yo! How you doing, Nova? Why did it close that tab? Stop doing your own thing, laptop. I don't want you to do anything. Just... Has stream open? You use something to tap it? Oh, glad to hear that you're doing good, though. Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. Apart from my laptop deciding to be about 50 years ahead of its time and take over the human. I do not care about my antivirus protection expiring. Laptop. Honestly, you're going to get put on an auction in a minute. I do not want to renew it. Alright, almost time. I've got a feeling I'm going to get absolutely sent to the moon in this race. I pray for my feeling to be wrong, but we will see. Indeed we will. This is the Super Formula. Oh, that was okay. A bit more time in that lap, but tough field. Jesus Christ. We have 6 cars within 2 tenths of each other. 7 cars. 7 cars within 2 tenths of each other. That's a bit nuts. Look at that. Top 11 in 7 tenths. Jesus. Right, I'm quickly going to pop to the lead chat. Just before this race starts. I'll be back in just a mo. Whoa. Okay, good. We haven't lost any more positions. Start's going to be tricky. Welcome in. Welcome in. Alright, time to get the show on the road. Oh my god, in the mirror, that was crazy. Oh, big waiting game here. back. I gotta slow down for that. That's so harsh. What a silly mistake. Yeah, I think I got damage on the car. Is a rat behavior? Yeah, for sure there's damage. Far from ideal. Yeah, that one mistake cost me a lot. Yeah, still a bit surprised I got the slowdown for that though. It is what it is. I would personally say the Indy Next is better after you in that license rank. The Super Formula has more people in the grid, but it's so much chaos. I'd also say the Super Formula car is less rewarding to drive, whereas the Indy Next car is very rewarding. Very rewarding. How you doing, Lewis? Welcome in, bro. I think there's a lot of tailwind today. Corner's so cool, man. Whoa! Had to have some fast hands there. Driver okay. No worries, Enzo. No worries. Wow, we've got some quick people in today. The session ending stopped me crashing. Thank you, Irating gods. Yeah, I need to adjust where my foot position is. But I appreciate you pointing that out, though, dude. So I'm just getting used to running no dead zone again on the pedal, whereas before I ran a little bit of dead zone. Now I'm just trying to train my brain to not be lazy, basically. The same with the throttle. I'm trying to train myself to not tap the throttle in the braking zone again. Because maybe you'll notice it like a few times. Like, I'll use a little bit of throttle to balance the rear of the car, but it's just a bad habit. Well, it's not a bad habit in the sense that it's... Well, no, it is a bad habit. It's bad to do continuously, but useful to do on the occasion. The occasion being big ticks of oversteer. Okay. Ah. Man, a 38.9 is absolutely ridiculous. 38.8 is even more ridiculous. Jesus. I've got something to learn from these boys. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I run 100 kg on my brake pedal. So like, for me hitting like 1 or 2% or like that is not like that much of a problem. Like if I was only running like 50 or 30 kg on the load cell, then like, yeah, it would be a problem. But I can like hang my foot there, you know, because like grazing the pedal even with a 0 dead zone is not that big of a problem. I would like to go to like 120 though, maybe 130. But although the VRS pedals are very, very good, I'm just a bit limited in that sense. Yeah, iRacing is always very, very humbling, you know? Like, it's very rare that you don't find, you know, a competition in a race. And if you just jump on, like, at the moment, I've only played iRacing twice this week. One on Tuesday and one today. Wow. It exposes you. In a good way, though. In a good way. As much as I would love to be on pole position by 5 seconds every time, it is nice, you know, to have that sort of challenge. No, F1 Esports doesn't have Park Fermi on because there's like normally there's like a 3 to 4 hour gap between the quali and the race. In that time, the PCs get restarted, etc. And it's just, at that point, it's just very hard to mandate people have the same setup. I think they should have Park Fermi on. I think if there was a way to enforce a Park Fermi, I think it would make the series so much better. Because I think then you get people who are maybe starting P4 on a race setup, maybe P1 on a quali setup, and how that could play out over a 50% race would be cool, and even more over a 100% race, you know what I mean? But I appreciate you, bro, thank you. Well, that was very mature. I'm going to be quite cheeky with the weaving here. Because quite simply, if they battle up ahead, we can stay in the fight for the win. But if we battle, it's over. And they're not going to battle. Unlucky. Right, it's never over, but just less likely. Yo, how you doing, Michael, man? It's all good, bro. It's all good. Hope you're doing good as well, man. Finally finished with Christmas shopping. Lovely, man. Are you happy with it? Oh. Gonna be a good one. Awesome. Very much in no man's land here. Fun. I'd love a bounty. Yeah. The boys ahead are very quick. To be honest, more of this is just learning at this point. So unless someone makes a big mistake, I'm not going to catch them. So more I'm just trying different lines, different braking points. Use the opportunity to test. Oh, I'm doing good, Alex. How are you? Woo-hoo. Leaf cars. I didn't read the rest of the advertising. I guess I'll get it in slap. What a nice scenery. Oh, it's easier here, was the rest of the advertising. Good for you, leaf cars. They make it easier, apparently. Oh, that was almost a crash. Second most exciting thing that's happened all race. Brendan, how do you genuinely feel about the F1 games and where you're headed? I think they're good. And what I mean by good is I don't class them as a sim. Like, nowhere near. So, as something for the sim racing market, or let's say the motorsport esports market, it's really good. I think generally having the F1 game series is more positive than not having it. Would I love it to be more like iRacing in terms of the physics? Yes. Every single day. I'll give up chicken nuggets for that, and I quite like chicken nuggets, so that says a lot. But yeah, in summary, I like the F1 game series, but where it's headed, no idea. The world is so weird these days that 10 years ago, a game was made for passion, whereas now a game is made for business. And it's business-minded people who get passionate people to do the work for them. Whereas before it was passionate people working with passionate people. So honestly, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. You know, could go great, could go bad. As long as they don't try to sell me a sofa in F126 or F127, I'll be moderately happy. Well, that was boring. Probably should have thought better of doing that. Probably shouldn't have done that. That was a bit silly. Well, that isn't useful. Jesus. Oh, Alex, man. That's such a nice message. Congratulations to your championship as well, man. Good for you. Oh my goodness. Oh. This guy is insane. Yes, we gained safety rating. Would have gained more without me being an idiot across the line. Man, I still got so much to learn about this game. We're going to do this race as well. Try to get a bit of redemption. How you doing, bro? Welcome in. Hope you had a good day, man. Just going to pop to the loo real quickly, chat. Wow. What's up, bro? Yeah, time management's a real tricky one. It just takes a lot of practice, a lot of perfection, but once you get in the flow of it, then it like, yeah, once you get in the flow, it all starts to make sense. But before that point, it can be really disorientating, to be honest. Just real difficult to manage it, you know. Right. So Wednesday nights seem like the most difficult time. What Friday? Honestly, bro, it's hard to say if it's worth upgrading, you know? The reason I say that is because you can upgrade now, or, you know, if you waited a few months, then you can make a bigger step, you know? Like, the thing is about sim racing wheels, the more expensive you go, the bigger jump in performance there is. Like, the difference between a wheel at like 300 to 600 euros or 300 to 800 is a bit, but it's not world changing. The difference between a wheel at like 800 to 1200, whoa. Now that starts to be world changing, to be honest. And yeah, like once you get past a certain threshold, then they start to plateau, and it's what you're looking for personally. But you need to get over that. Like, to get a big difference in a wheel, you're more or less looking to be over £1,000 per unit, like per wheelbase. Can I say though, those wheels in separation is not worth it? How do you mean in separation? Like the G23 he mentioned and the Mozo R5, or I get that, bro. I get that it's like more customizable, but I need to check what one is the Mozo R5. What Newton meter is that? Because the problem is, you're kind of just like trading like for like at that point. Yeah, sure, you have like an upgrade plan, but R5 only 5 Newton meter. Yeah, I mean, right. Let me bring up the website. So, like, let's see here, racing. I'm guessing you're getting the bundle, right? Because if you're getting a bundle, let me have a look at these. Yeah, I agree with Michael. The difference between the G 923 or whatever it's called and the R5 is like nothing. It's just I don't think you would be satisfied. I wouldn't be satisfied with the difference, to be honest, bro. Here we go. All right, let's take a little looky. Let me just put my headset on. Just shut my phone to make sure there's no like copyright music. We use cookies. I could not care less. Oh, you couldn't say that because my face cam was there anyway. Bundles. So, okay, I'll just look at the Stonewall bases for now. Why? There we go. So look, you're looking at the 5 Newton meter. Oh, it's not even on this list. But yeah, like, honestly, okay, so removing the fact they have discounts on this, right? Look, removing the fact they have discounts, and let's just say it was a normal price. This is less than £100 difference between the R9 and the R12. And the difference that you're going to have is 21 bits on the encoder versus 18. But to be honest, mainly it's just the peak Newton meter. And 9 Newton meters is okay, but you're just gonna peak out. You can actually only really run about 7 Newton meter on a 9 Newton meter wheel before you start getting clipping. This came from YouTube. Welcome in, bro. I mean, I haven't really used Moza products. I've heard they're quite good. But yeah, I think if I was just going to go with them, I know maybe it's not available for everyone, but honestly, I would go 25 Newton meter, the R25. I would just save up for it, bro. Because again, what is that? That's 200 difference. The difference between the R21 and 25, honestly, I would say if you wanted to cut the cost, you could. It doesn't really look like there's much difference. But, yeah. Also, do realize IRL car only generates about 11 to 12. Depends on the car. Depends on the car. Like, I can also show you my setting. I don't need to, but I want to upgrade to the Simucube 3 because I brought the Sport thinking I wasn't going to use all of the torque. I'm maxing out the torque on every single game at the moment. So, and ultimately, the thing is, a lot about sim racing, right, is about giving yourself headroom. You need to give yourself headroom on these things. Like, for example, if I was just driving trying to look only for the feeling, I like the strength in the wheel. I like I like to fight the wheel, you know? But to be honest, with a 17 Newton meter cap, you're probably only able to run 14 and a half, maybe 15 before you start getting clipping. Like, I accept that I get some clipping, right? So I just roll with it, but... My whole point is, go higher Newton meter than you actually think you need. No, I am on LMU. Well, not right now, but I was playing it yesterday. I just want to just rotate, to be honest, between the two. Because I get quite bored driving the same track day in, day out. Good for lap time, but not good for, not good for the mental state. The thing is, like, if I don't really have, like, an objective... I'm going to try a bit lower on the 4 back, actually. I might eat my own words. Let's see what happens. If I don't have, like, an objective to chase, I don't really... I enjoy driving, but I don't, you know, love it. Like, for me... Doing these practice laps is okay. It's a bit of fun. I know I'm learning a bit, but if I'm in the race and even if I'm winning by 5 seconds, for me it's quite boring. I prefer to be P2, P1 fighting, you know? That's why I'm doing the exact opposite that you just said. How so? What's more important, wheelbase or pedals? Probably pedals. Is it more important to upgrade to a dirt drive wheel and loads of pedals as a G920? I mean, yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity to upgrade, then yeah, but I think a lot of people think of, like, direct drive wheels and, like, super high-end pedals as, like, a gold mine for lap time. And don't get me wrong, it makes it so much more enjoyable to do sim racing with them, but quite genuinely, the greatest performance of sim racing history may be Joni Tormula in the 2016 iRacing World Championship. Bro was winning World Championship races on a Logitech G29 in a McLaren Formula 1 car on iRacing, what is notoriously hard to drive. Maybe even one of the hardest sim racing cars ever. Like... Oh man, I couldn't believe it when I heard that. That you got, like... You've got Gregor Hutu. I don't know what he was on. I presume he was on Leo Bodner. Probably some good pedals as well. Like, you got Martin Kroenke, who I presume was on VRS at that time. Or maybe the early versions of VRS. And then you got Joni Tormula, who I presume just had his G29 strapped to a desk. Sensational. I remember showing a hotel room with Joni in Abu Dhabi. Lovely guy, man. Do you know what? He's also one of the smartest people I found in sim racing. Knows what he wants. Does the actions for trying to get what he wants. Doesn't get caught up in drama. Fair enough. Hey, I want to ask if you recommend train for a league in single player. I think it's a bit different. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can train for a league in single player. Like, of course, it's better if you have all your mates together in one race and practice races, you know. But like, if the option is there in single player, it's still very much useful. I mean, of course, upgrading in the future to a pricey rig is the plan, but in my country, yeah, no, I feel that, bro. I feel that. Like, I'm very, 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 very lucky to be in the UK with this kind of passion, this kind of hobby. Because basically, there's pretty much a UK distributor for anything, you know. But for some people, like I remember when I was teammates with Ulas, I need to pronounce it correctly. Ulas Uljurim. Probably butchered it still. Lovely guy, by the way. He lives in Turkey, and even just to get his rig sent to him to practice for F1 esports, my god. My god. The import problem, he got stuck in imports for like weeks, days. Not cheap in any country, no, I agree. But yeah, I think in some places, just like the import and the delivery of getting it there, can be crazy, you know? Yeah, thank you for the 49. Really appreciate you, bro. I answered. If you didn't hear, then I'm happy to answer it again. But, yeah, I think you can practice in single player and it still be efficient. Better to be a multiplayer with your mates, though, but if you only have single player available, it's very good. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the power of like the currency also has a big impact, right? Because, like, for example, in Thailand, I think is a good example, right? That I might be talking out of my arse here because I don't really know that much about currencies, but from what I understand, basically, if again, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be talking out of my arse, but with the British pound being more powerful than the currency they use in Thailand, it's just harder for them to earn enough money to get like a Simucube. You know, if the Simucube is based off the value in euros or British pounds or dollars, you know what I mean? It's like... So yeah, I do sympathize with a lot of people, you know. It also makes me wonder, like, there must be some pretty good drivers out there. My price to wage ratio is insane. Nah, I can imagine, bro. Do you know what? It's also like... It is just tough, isn't it, you know? It's tough out there, you know, like... Situations are always going to be tricky. Welcome in, bro. Man, the wind in Irating is tricky. Oh. Yeah, mate, that's like insane to me. Like that whole concept of having to pay that much for tariffs, you know. You can change the you can change that wheel. Not officially, but people sell like mods. So people like 3D print a wheel rim, and then then you can use that. Check out like Etsy or something like that. How do you understand that oversteer is coming from the wind? I'll show you when I get around here. It's hard to feel at first, and a lot of it is because I have a reference from driving this track earlier in the week. But I'll try my best to talk you through it. So when I'm going into the corner, the grip is okay. Like, I presume there's a headwind now, what turns into a tailwind. So grip is okay. And then the car goes away as it would transition to like a tailwind. Let me jump out of the car, actually. So basically, without having any overlays on the screen, basically what I presume is happening here, I presume the iRacing is simulating a headwind, because there's a lot of grip as I'm traveling, of course, straight into the wind. So a lot of grip now, The grip kind of fades off at the moment, but, you know, it's pretty normal as you turn into a corner. But this is really where the car starts to get destabilized. And I lose a lot of grip in the car, more than I would normally expect to. And of course, that's as the headwind would turn into a tailwind. So it's a little bit tricky to understand at first, but also that can be backed up by going into this corner, because on the entry, of course, I stopped on this example, but on the previous lap, on the entry, the car is sliding a lot. But then once you get to the car pointing in a straight line again, then it's okay. Oh, I'm more than happy, bro. More than happy to help. Yeah, it does look weird, you're right. But yeah, it's maybe better than nothing, I guess. I mean, if it can be useful as well, some very small details you can do to help yourself with that kind of wind is, first of all, try to understand the problem. Try to identify it, because if you don't identify that it was wind making the problem, it's easy to lose confidence. Second thing you can do is maybe put more forward brake bias entry in the corner to stop that kind of... I want to let this guy go. So basically, you're adding more stability on corner entry. what can be a, you know, trade-off later in the corner to not have that much rotation so the bite isn't more, you know. But yeah, third of all, if you know the oversteer is going to come, you just push a bit less into the corner, you know. Or push a bit less when the oversteer is expected to happen. Just roll a bit less speed in. Easier said than done, of course, but... No, there's no wind in the F1 game. You had more ring on the weir. I mean, you can, but it's not really going to fix the problem. Like, because then it'll make you understeery when there's a headwind, you know. Best thing you can do is just set the car up to be optimal, and then deal with the difficulties of it as you go. Because if you're trying to set the car up for the wind always changes, you know. The wind is never the same for 2 laps. It might have the same similar patterns, but it's never exactly the same, so... You know, then it's easy to overthink the wind and all that kind of thing. But honestly, bro, just send it. Like... And once you know the feeling that you're looking for, you'll be alright. See, like that? Okay, slow, and that was slow. But I know the feeling I'm looking for. And because I anticipate the car's going to have it sliding, I'm ready for it. Whereas if I wasn't anticipating it, then, you know, it would be harder to catch. And think about around the track, where else can be a headwind? For example, this is probably a tailwind in this corner. Another way to tell is how quickly you accelerate even at top speed. And as we get to the corner exit, you see, the car picks up quite good rotation. Won't really matter through here, it's a low speed corner. But yeah, if I know that one corner is going to be a headwind or a tailwind, I can build like a mental map around it. So I know that this corner is going to have a fairly decent grip. Transition to a tailwind now. As I go around the corner, we'll start with a tailwind and more or less turn into a side wind. Now we have a headwind. What I presume was a headwind. So I can have good grip here. Anticipate the car grip loss. Set the car up. Anticipate the grip loss. Wait for the headwind to help me. Nice. Hello. He's having the time of his life, isn't he? So I think this will be a tailwind, side wind all the way through here. Now this will be a headwind, what turns into a side wind. So turn-ins will be great, but then we get a side wind from turn-in after. As you can see, the car just understeers after turn-in. Because there's no longer a headwind gives you more grip, a side wind doesn't. But I'm going to try a different 40 back setting. How much does wind affect the car on iRacing? Depends the car you're in, bro. For example, the Super Formula will affect a lot. Just generally speaking, the faster the car is, the more it will affect it. The more downforce the car has, you know, the more sensitive it is to the wind. Is he still racing? I do racing here or there in real life. I'm not really focused on it, to be honest. To be honest, I love driving, but I don't like the politics. I don't really like to spend, you know, my weekends on the road anymore. So I do a bit of real life driving for fun. But it's not an ambition of mine to have a career in real life cars anymore. Still nice, thank you, bro. Politics ruin everything. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, everyone, especially in race, I think in sports in general, a lot of people have very aggressive egos. And it becomes a really difficult thing to enjoy being around people that have aggressive egos. And it's just like, when you can see that someone's just like so far up their own arse that they can see their own brain, or lack of, I should say, then it's like, okay, yeah, what am I doing here? I think the different performance was because of Piastri politics. Yes. I think for any driver that basically just gave up a position in Monza like Piastri did, of course it's going to sting mentally. Would Max still have done that? No chance. I think Piastri did it because he didn't think that Lando was a threat in the championship at that point. He had a few stinkers. And all of a sudden, Lando was there. Yeah. Is it hard to get sponsorship in the UK? I don't know, on the top levels. Like, I don't know, like, for other people, you know, but I think basically everyone, or more or less most people who are racing F4 and above, I think majority of people racing F4 and above put basically their own money down, or at least 80% of their own money down, and then maybe 20% comes from sponsorship, or they put their own money down and then they regenerate some of their money through sponsorship. But in summary, most of 80% of the season they would have to do by themselves. I don't think many, if any, people are getting by just on sponsorship. But I don't think that's just a UK problem. I think it's hard to convince someone to, like, it's hard to go to someone with a business plan and basically be like, right, to get to F2, to then have a chance of going to F1, I need about £6 million, maybe more. And what do you get for doing this? Well, you get to be on the side of my car. You know, it's pretty hard to convince people to spend that much money. Like, here's the problem with the sponsorships, at least in my opinion, right? If a company has, let's say, 1 million to spend on sponsorships, they're probably doing alright for themselves. Well, means they don't normally actually need to sponsor the driver, because they're normally doing alright for themselves to start with. Like, the companies who actually need the advertisement don't have enough money to put the chips in, you know? Not saying the big companies don't need it, but you see what I mean, like... I don't know that much about sponsorship anyway, though. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know something I don't. That's just my surface level analysis on it. Oh, what am I doing? You're pretty average through the first. No! Bugger! Oh, that was so stupid. Man. How stupid was that? Best I can hope for is I get lucky and keep P2. Have you seen the rumors? I did see an article about that, but I don't really understand it. Yeah, I don't really understand it. Like, why can they run 16.1 and other people can't? Like, I don't really understand what's going on there. Good luck for the rest. Ah, man, good luck as well, dude. Did you smash me even further in quali? Ah, okay. Yeah, best of luck, bro. Ah. What iRating would you consider no longer embarrassing? To be honest, dude, there's no iRacing number that makes you embarrassing or not embarrassing. Like, just live your life, dude. If you're worried about a number on a video game racing against people you've never even met, then to be honest, you probably need to be working out your priorities in life. Like, there's nothing embarrassing about having a high or low iRating. Live your life, do your thing, don't worry about it. I mean, if it's an engineering advantage, then I think fair play. If they've got it just from engineering advantages and seeing like advantages to be broken through with, then all power to them, in my man. All power to them. It's not their fault they were more ahead of than other people. Man, Max versus George would be hilarious for the championship. They would honestly crash. It wouldn't look. It wouldn't be as dramatic as 2021 because Lewis already had the accreditation of 7 championships. But honestly, it would be a similar vibe. It'll be a similar vibe, just not as hyped up because it was the perfect storm with Lewis versus Max. Changing of the guard. Uh, 3.3, I think it was. 3.4 strength of field. Yo, thank you for the raid. I presume someone raided. Sorry, I'm locked in. I tried to read a bit more on this following straight, but... Was it you, Soul? Really? Ah, appreciate you, bro. Everyone who was already on my stream, be sure to go check out Soul. Thank you so much, man. Sorry, I would love to interact more. This guy beat me in the earlier race. And I need revenge. Much love, bro. Much love. Get his ass. Oh, man. No! No, my monitor turned off! No! Why, man? That's so arse! What a joke, man. What a joke. Oh, that's just great. Oh, well, what could have been? Would have been a great battle. The only thing is I know what caused it. And it's my 4th monitor. What? Yeah, it was a good run. It's my 4th monitor, what's meant to be one of the best monitors in the world, but turns off periodically. Full screen, but yeah, it's to do with my 4th monitor. I'm not going to name and shame the brand, but it's like a £600 monitor, and they have a reputation for turning off. But simply just because we had to run them in F1 Esports, I have it. If I didn't have to run it in F1 Esports, I would have never got it. Yo, for sure, feel free to ask the question. Yo, Catherine, thanks so much for your Twitch Prime. Really appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Why don't you use any overlays? Just simply because I find they give me an input delay. And I hate input delays with a passion. Like, I would there's a lot of things in life I'd rather do than have an input delay. Mate, my monitor turned off. Like, literally, as we was heating up to have a really good battle, bang, monitor turns off. Ah, you drove awesome, though, dude. You drove awesome. It's not an... no, it's not that. I'll give you a hint. The company also makes phones. Lovely, glad to hear you're doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good as well, thank you. Why does the fourth affect the other three? Because when it turns off, it changes the aspect ratios. So then my PC gets confused. So where is launching? Okay. Because then you see, like, this is my triple screens. And then when this one turns off, what's my fourth monitor for editing, whatever, then it gets confused. Normally, I turn off the screen. I just turn it off with my remote before streaming, so it doesn't happen. But if I forget to do that, then this is what happens, and it is just random. It is just random. So yeah. I'm not going to confirm or deny, Toy, but let's just say it's not an iPhone. No, it's not a loose connection. It's a common issue with the brand, with that monitor. From what I've seen online anyway. Like, I've been off the track for best way for me to jump around. I've been off the track for 1.5 years. What's the best way for me to jump back on? Do races or lots of practice? Just races, mate. Best races. Just do races. Just crack in laps. You know, if you're just doing practice by yourself, it's a bit boring, to be honest. Better change it then. Yeah. The problem is, I'm a bit reluctant because it's a very expensive monitor, and like, yeah, I'm reluctant because I'm like, it's a very expensive monitor that morally I don't want to sell to anyone because I don't want anyone else to have like this problem that I have. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because I know it's there. I know that problem's there. So I think if I could easily just list it on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. But it would just be wrong because I'm like, it's a ticking time bomb at that point, you know? Like, real warranty? Don't think so, no. It was brought through Amazon anyway. And because I'm a very sensible person, I'm like, nope, don't want that 2-year warranty. Nope. What should I do if I sent you a donation? No, don't worry, dude. If it's not taking your money, don't worry about it, man. He won't be in debts. Wasn't it happening from the beginning? Can't remember, to be honest, mate. When it's my main monitor... It's a good question. I'll have to think about that. That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I'll have to think about that, because from the beginning it did happen, but when it was my main monitor, it definitely happened less, if ever. It's mainly since it's been a third monitor. Yeah, no, you're right there. You're right there. You are. You're broke but talented. What can I do to get into Formula racing? I think that's the story of most drivers, to be honest. Work your nuts off, my friend. Work your nuts off. If you've got no money to go motor racing, but you want to go motor racing, get a job in motor racing, get a job at a team, get a job at a racing school, and trade your time to have goes in their car. I.e., like, let's say you wanted to work at just a random racing school like Brands Hatch, right? I don't know if they would let you, but go to them, approach and say, okay, I'll work this many hours, and for each day I get 10 laps in the car, right? If you're really desperate to get into Formula racing, but you have no money, then you need to work in motor racing to get your name about, prove that you're about it, prove that you're willing to put the work in, and then people may back you. But if you just approach it like other people will, like going to people with leaflets asking for sponsorship, you might get a bit, honestly, but you probably won't, stand out in that situation. It's all about standing out at the end of the day, isn't it? Like, if you can stand out and stand your head above the crowd, then you have a really good chance. But if you don't, it's tricky. It's real tricky out there. Also, the cost of motor racing is obscene. Right. We're going to call it a day in a second on this stream. Let me put that on so I can load my browser. Bum diddy dum diddy dum dum. Right, let's find someone to raid. We want iRacing today. Let's find an iRacing streamer. Quirks gave me one the other day, didn't he? Yeah, we'll do Quirks. Slash that. Everyone, if you fancy it, I probably will be live tomorrow. If not, no worries. There's no obligation to be here. But no, I do appreciate people coming in, hanging out, tuning in. Does always make it more pleasurable rather than just driving laps by myself. So crack-a-lackin'. Everyone, really do appreciate you lot. While this Twitch raid is loading, I'm going to end the YouTube stream. So everyone on YouTube, I do really appreciate you all. And yeah, we hit 38,000 subscribers today. So that's pretty cool. I'm very happy about that. At the end of the day, it's a number on a screen, but helps me a lot to be doing this, and to be putting a lot more time into it. So yeah, I really do appreciate everyone. But with that being said, I'm going to end the stream. And if you are around tomorrow, see you later. If not, have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And yeah, I'll catch you lot laters. Grazie. Ciao, everyone. Bye. And then on the old Twitch, we're going to go over and send the raid as well. So thank you, and I'll catch you lot laters. Bye.